This, of course, is a philosophical approach. These concepts we have to consider. There is an organization that exists that was founded in the 1500s that is called the Flat Earth Society. I think around 1560, I'm not sure. You can find them on the internet with no trouble. They purport that the earth is flat. Many of them probably really believe it, although I don't know why. But all the belief in the world, all the sincerity, and all the passion will not make the earth flat. The fact of the matter is, it is an imperfect sphere. As with all truth, whether we believe to accept it or not does not change the truth. It does not change the fact. If we are to be philosophers, if we are to be scientists, if we are to be seekers of truth and wisdom, we must be people who look at the evidence, strive for objectivity, tested against its adversaries, as well as the arguments of its friends. And then think. Use the brain in your head, and then draw your conclusions. Right now, I'd like to introduce Rich Cromwick, who will present a scientific side to this argument within the limited time frame that we have. Thank you.
Ideas have consequences. As I always tell people, in terms of what John is saying, that you can sincerely believe something, people. Okay? You can sincerely believe something, you can sincerely be wrong. Now, I don't have much time, so my focus is going to be design. I'm going to give some examples, but I want to say that if I was going to spend hours on this topic, I would get into arguments for creation. I would talk about the laws of the logic, morality. I get into the idea of consciousness. I would get into the concept of chemical explosion. I get into the idea of abrupt appearance, and I get into a lot of other topics. But I'm going to basically focus on design because I think it's a very compelling argument. And it's an interesting quote by Arthur Schopenhauer. He talks about all truth passes through the three stages: ridicule, violent opposition, and self-evident acceptance. And there's a lot of truth behind that. If you look at the geocentric theory and the idea of phlogiston, different theories that took a lot of time for people to, hey, this is not working. This is the world's largest rock group. Intelligent design. I want to get into design now. Again, I'm going to talk about design. From my perspective, I am a born-again Christian, but at the same time, even if I wasn't, I would still see design in the universe, and I still make that an argument for a design, or whether it's an alien or not, just because of what we see of complexity. I want to talk about that. What is it? I'm not going to read off all the slides. I can always give anyone of these that's interested a piece of a presentation. If you want these slides, no problem. And I have some books here that, for those who want to pursue this further, you're welcome to. But what is it? We're going to talk about irreducible complexity. Just what is intelligent design? Well, the theory of intelligent design holds that certain features of the universe and of living things are best explained by an intelligent cause, not an undirected process such as natural selection. And understand something, natural selection is a conservative process. It's not an innovative process. I mean, yeah, we have moth, different colors of moth. We have resistant bacteria, still bacteria. We have different beaks, finches. It's still a finch. We look at those examples and we extrapolate. That's the problem I have. I have no problem with adaptation. Okay, I have a Chihuahua. It's a mutant dog, but it's still a dog. The problem I have is the scientific evidence for that extrapolation into a dog can turn to something that's a non-dog. We don't see that. That's not on the scientific. That's not observable, not testable, and not repeatable. Intelligent design takes intelligence to be a separate principle, not reducible to chance and necessity, need. Basically, it's sophisticated anti-evolution. And it's no Bible thunder. It's philosophical. See, life does exhibit a special kind of order, and we're going to see that. Intelligent design propositions. I'm going to talk about specified complexity and irreducible complexity, which mitigate against chance and time. Again, John brought up this idea of our priority starting point. In our priority positions, we start off a position. If we start off with naturalism or materialism, then we have really no place to go but from an evolutionary mindset, if we accept that. So that's an important point. Facts do not speak for themselves. Facts are interpreted within a framework, within an interpretive framework. Do you all realize that? All right? We can have the same facts. It's not the facts that have been issued. It's the interpretation of those facts that is the issue. I believe intelligent design does constitute the best explanation for the origin of specified complexity, as we'll see. And biological systems are incredibly complex, and they do show complexity. We'll see that. Living organisms are too complicated to be the result of natural processes working independently. I don't think even the evolutionists will deny that. Now, evidence for design, cosmology. We talked about the anthropic principle. Has anybody ever heard of that? The anthropic principle talks about the fine-tunedness of the universe where things fit. We have the right type of atmosphere, the right amount of oxygen, the right amount of water, the right nuclear forces, strong and weak, the right gravitational attraction, the right sun, the right distance from the sun, the right moon, sun type of the moon, planet, and the right crust. It's amazing. And all of these fine-tunes, there's a video called The Privileged Planet, and I recommend it because it's not done by a bunch of creationists. Robert Jastro's on it. He's an agnostic. And they just show how so many things have to be fine-tuned to have life. I find it fascinating. It's an excellent video. It's called The Privileged Planet. Physics, again, talking about the fact that we have all these different forces, and that alone is compelling evidence. The idea of the uniformity, laws of uniformity we have. We have laws of gravitation. Laws don't come into existence by themselves. Well, the law is usually a lawmaker. It's an interesting point. Now, we might not know who that person is, but it's irrelevant. Just like a watch, if you see a watch, everybody here is going to say, there was a watchmaker. We don't have to know that person to know that that person had to exist. Just like if I'm looking at the clouds and I see, I love you, I'm going to know for sure that's not some type of random process over time plus chance. The greatest puzzle is where all the order in the universe came from originally. How did the cosmos get wound up if the second law of thermodynamics predicts asymmetric unwinding towards its order? And this is by Paul Davies. This guy is no friend to the creationist movement, but he's making a very intelligible, very excellent question. How did a universe that's winding down get wind up from the get-go? These are questions we can't just gloss over. We have to reflect upon these things. And as free thinkers, as people that want truth, these are things that we should be interested in. Biology. Biology is not the study of complicated things that have the appearance of design, as Richard Dawkins says in The Blind Watchmaker. Biology is the study of complicated things. And the question is, do they appear design or are they design? Let's look at design. Molecular biology helps the cause even further. There's a book out by Michael Denton. It's called Evolution, Theory, and Crisis. And this guy here basically is not a creationist. He actually talks Genesis in his first chapter. This is who likes biology. Who is a biology major here? Then this book you can get in any bookstore. Okay, so these are the kind of books you can buy at the regular bookstore. Now, some of these other books, you're not going to find them at the bookstore. Okay, you're going to have to look a little deeper. But Evolution, Theory, and Crisis by Michael Denton, he does a job of showing the problems with Darwinian evolution using the evidence of the evolutionists that he uses.